Back in 2022, I did a video titled I Paused Starlink for a Better Internet Solution, and I did ruffle up a few feathers from Starlink users. But for us as full-time travelers, a cellular-based service just makes more sense than satellite. Although this did make me realize I was wrong with my best RV internet thumbnail, and there really is no all-in-one solution for everybody. In that video, I shared the installation and review of a system called InstyConnect. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the video. Today we are going to be talking about what we do for full-time internet on the road, and that is this little guy, the InstyConnect. So this setup is actually pretty unique because not only is there a 4x4 MIMO antenna setup in here, there's also a 4G and 5G modem with 2 SIM slots. And you might be asking, why is the modem up here on the roof? Well, apparently if you keep the wires as short as possible, that's gonna minimize signal loss and give the modem the best reception. So then to wrap it up, it connects to a category 12 router down in the RV via a USB cable, and that's it. Pretty cool, huh? So let's get started. Chris and I have been full-time RVers for going on 6 years now. We run her online fitness and nutrition coaching business as well as this full-time YouTube channel, so internet is pretty important to us. Let's quickly look at our internet progression journey. We started out with just T-Mobile phones and using them as a hotspot to our laptops. We quickly found out that was not gonna work, and we upgraded within about 4 months to a Verizon hotspot, so a dedicated hotspot for our data. That was a 4G LTE, and it had an unlimited plan, which we got back in 2019. Now we bought the WeBoost antenna booster before we even hit the road and in anticipation for needing internet on the road, and we quickly found out that there was a better solution than the WeBoost, which was simply just a 2x2 MIMO window antenna that hooked directly to our hotspot. And that's pretty much the system we used for about 3 years on the road. And that was a pretty good solution. It worked pretty much all across the country. Of course, it didn't have any long-range capabilities if you're really out in the middle of nowhere. But then Starlink came along, and we all expected Starlink to be a game changer. And if you've seen any of those Starlink videos that we put out on the system, you'll know that it was not a game changer for us. It just did not work everywhere we traveled, and we had lots of problems with the East Coast and lots of problems with trees and obstructions. And that's where Nick, the founder of InstyConnect, saw our videos, saw the trouble we were having with Starlink, and said, hey, I think I have a better solution for you. So he sent us out this InstyConnect system and said, hey, I want you guys to try it out and let me know what you think. Here we are almost 2 years later, and I'm sure you're asking, are we still using this system? Well, yes and no. We're actually using a newer version of the InstyConnect with an upgraded and new antenna design. Nick and his family actually came down and visited us in the Florida Keys this spring, and I thought you guys would enjoy hearing from the owner himself. Nick, thank you so much for coming down to the Keys. It was like pulling teeth getting you to come down here.
No, it wasn't. I mean, look at this.
Right?
I had to have an excuse to come down here.
Yeah,
I love it down here.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm really excited to learn about the new and improved InstyConnect system.
For sure, I bought one here, so we'll just break it open. This is basically how people get it when we ship it to them. We have some swag, of course. But we have the new system right here. Comprises of a new antenna. You know, as the years have gone on, we've done a lot to improve the system to make it even better for the people on the road. So this is our new antenna. It's called the Insty Squared. And when I'm at shows and I'm talking to people, I tell them basically our secret sauce is what happens inside. And inside here, you'll see that we have our X62 modem, which is kind of techie, but basically it's a 4G, 5G modem inside. And it's an updated version. If you can see right there, it's the Ethernet version that we have. So we used to have a USB from the router going up to the antenna. Now we have an Ethernet, which allows us to have longer wires and allows us to have easier installation, and then it can get us basically more speed wherever we go. Cellular is always evolving, so they go 4G and 5G. Our very first 5G modem came out a few years back. We were one of the first people to have it in an antenna. And basically when you had that, you could put in a SIM card from your cellular provider and get their 5G signals, you know, pretty much wherever they had them. And then so this modem here is just the next evolution of it. They call it the X62, and it's future-proof in that it can do 2 times carrier aggregation on 5G. So basically what that means is, like, when you get to somewhere like the Keys or Florida and the cellular providers are building up their towers so that you could have more speed, right? Because more people want to use the towers. And so in order to get that speed and be above the congestion, we need to have the best modem out there. So this one here is the X62. I believe we were the first people that have it, just because of the way that we make it in a modular fashion, so it can go in and out. So this modem I'm super excited about.
That's awesome. And I'm starting to notice as we travel more and more 5G across the country.
Right.
Like it's literally popping up, you know, more and more places that we go. So.
Right. Right. So 5G lets you do like a lot of speed, and then it has a good range to it. Some of the 5G bands can go really far.
Yeah.
So you can have just like a really small signal, but still be able to do all of this stuff, like streaming and everything that you need to do. So the secret to our thing is to get it outside, so when you're in a spot that has weak signal, like state parks, national parks, things that have lots of trees and everything, that it doesn't have to fight your rig to get out and get a signal.
Yeah.
So that's why we created it weatherproof and everything, to be outside all the time. But there are some people that are just like, I just want to set it down. Maybe they don't go out there, you know, they just want to set it down and use it. So we designed it to do that too. But then we have, which is we're going to put on Aaron's here, the ladder mount. Basically looks like this. And then inside our box here, when we ship a new system, we have our router as well. And so basically the router looks like this. It's a vehicle type router. It's pretty hardened. You set it inside your system or inside your rig. It can use power from like shore power, or you can hook it up anywhere from 10 to 24 volts. You can wire it directly. We have a 15-foot cable that you run from the router to the antenna that goes up on the roof. And so since this one is PoE, so it's brand new, PoE means power over Ethernet. I'm pretty excited about it because, like I said, we could have a longer cable. So with that, you have this little thing called the injector that you hook up right near the router, and then you put power into it, and that powers the antenna over the wire. Here's the adapter for plugging that in if you need to, and then we have the little cables just to power them. So
okay, and that's how we can hardwire it for 12 volt, right?
Correct,
or
yes.
hardwire it to our battery system.
Yep. So in your install, we're going to put this one to your batteries, and then we're going to split it for both the router and the PoE injector.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I love having it hardwired to the system. That way, 24/7, our RV is basically like an internet hotspot.
Right.
And we can check our cameras, check our dog temperatures, look at our electrical system, all that stuff.
Right.
So.
Right.
So as we're doing the install here, we're gonna have to be disconnecting our old InstiConnect system, and Chris is inside doing work right now. And Nick had a great idea. He actually has an Insti connected to his truck. So his truck is basically like a Wi-Fi hotspot as he travels around. And so Chris is on the inside right now, and she's connecting out to their Insti here. Pretty cool. So that antenna has been up on our roofs for 1.5 years, and I don't even know, 20, 30,000 miles, and looks pretty new.
Yeah, doesn't look bad at all.
Nice.
Yeah. This was our original 5G design, and the modem inside here, it looks a little different. And so that is our original 5G modem, and this is what the new modem looks like. We made it a little wider for the PoE section. And the antennas in here are a little bit different too. What we wanted to do was we wanted to make the most sensitive antenna that you could possibly get, so that when you have this up on your rig and you're driving around, it's going to do the best that it can to bring in a signal. Like, especially if you're out in the woods, in the trees and all that stuff, having a really sensitive antenna is like the most important part for doing cellular internet. So we made it actually a little bit bigger. It's still omnidirectional, so it means that it picks up a signal all around it. But we made these antennas even bigger so they're more sensitive wherever you go.
Aesthetically, it's pleasing.
It's very streamlined, I guess you can say.
So one of the things that really intrigued me about you guys, Nick, is that you're a small, family-owned business, and you guys are RVers.
Right.
And you make these things at your home.
Right. And so, yeah, we make these in our shop in Tennessee. It's our family business. Right, so I love this, right? I love going to the Keys, I love camping. I think what I really love the most is the freedom to go to like a spot like this, but at like next week you can end up in the woods in the state park and everything. So I get like the draw for RVing, but I needed to work. So I needed to have internet. So like I used to teach people how to do it, how to run the wires and how to, you know, set up antennas and everything. But then I thought, you know what if I just did it myself? And to be honest, I love this too. I love like going places, figuring out how to get internet in spots where like nobody's ever gotten internet before. And so that's where this kind of, it's like, I don't know, when you do something you love,
Yeah.
you just kind of have, yeah, it's not a job.
It's not work.
You just love doing it.
Yeah.
And so when like we took this, we designed this antenna out at Center Lake Campground in a spot where nobody's phone works. You can't do satellite there. Nothing works there. And we set up camp and we designed this antenna there so we could stream there without having to set up anything more. And when I talk about more, I'm talking like directional antennas, you know, anything like that, like the switchblade there.
Yep.
To get a signal in a really, really hard to reach spot, having the modem inside the antenna is like key. And so that's why I designed it like this. But I also love to be able to pull the modem out so that we could use this in other things, like stronger directional antennas, like the switchblade. So originally we had what we called the binoculars, and now we call this one the switchblade binoculars. I wanted to make one that you could actually fold up and put inside your rig for, you know, when you don't need it. And then when you want it, need it, you can set it outside. You actually take the modem and you put it inside there and you wire it up and you put your Ethernet cable in right there. And then you deploy this and you aim it in a direction so that if you're ever somewhere that's really, really far out, this has one of the best chances to get a signal anywhere. So when you have like cool stuff that you can use with cellular, you can really have a huge reach with it.
Well, I think that covers all of the equipment, and I really appreciate you showing that to us,
Yeah.
Nick. And we're gonna do a quick install. Probably won't show you guys every single little detail, but we're gonna get this thing installed, and I'm excited to see how it works.
It'll be pretty straightforward. The router actually stays the same. And so we're going to be keeping that router there. We have to hook up a different power cable. We have to do the barrel on there so we can split it.
Gotcha.
So we can put power into the injector.
Okay.
So then all we have to do is just run the new cable. So that's the USB. We're going to be putting the Ethernet to go up and then across back to the ladder.
Okay.
So that should be all we need to do. We're all finished with the wiring here. I just took your direct wire right there and spliced on the new barrel connector so it looks like this right there. And then we plug it in to the splitter. That goes to the power injector and then back to the router there. So we got power already at the router, so all we need to do is just run this cable up to the antenna.
Nice.
And so since we direct wired yours, that's why we had to do this, the splitting or the splicing right there. If you wanted to, you could just plug it in right directly into the wall, and then you'd have that barrel connector right there, and that just plugs right in.
Okay, yeah, we actually ran it off 110 for a while, and then I like to have everything just direct wired to the 12 volt or the batteries. That way it's always on,
right?
No matter what.
Right.
You don't have to worry about your inverters if you do a lot of boondocking and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, we do the same thing, run at 12 volts. That way we can actually have the Wi-Fi on in the car.
Yes.
So we can pick it up in the car.
Yes.
The kids love that. Right?
Yes. Okay, Nick is up here taping off the fish line. Nice. And this is what our access hole looks like. It's just a weatherproof box that we use for the solar install. And this is a factory roof access, so all it is a tube that goes from the top to the basement, which is nice. So Nick is gonna run the cable down there. I'm gonna go down, and hopefully it'll be an easy pass through.
That sounds good.
Okay, yeah, I see it. So this came right down through the back. Nice and easy.
So here's the old USB cable. So on our old system, the USB cable had a length of 30 feet. That's as long as you could do it. With the new system, you can go 100 plus feet, depending on the wire that you use. So we ran up here with a 15-foot cable, and we're gonna have just a quick coupler. Since this is protected and everything, we're just gonna put a coupler inside, and then we have a 30-foot cable that we're gonna run from here to the back, but we're gonna keep quite a bit coiled in here just in case he needs some for running it up a pole if he wants to do the switchblade.
But if you wanted to, you could run a single wire
all the way,
as long as you wanted.
Right, correct. Yep. And since this is standard Ethernet, you can cut it, you can, you know, put the plugs and everything on it. A lot of people have those kits. And, but we're gonna just do it simple with this and run this through here. I don't know if I've ever had an install go so easy. I haven't done a lot of these installs, just my own and like maybe two others. Yeah. Connect the wires like that. And then we can just run this over to the ladder and then pull back what you don't need.
I'm actually gonna snake this cable underneath my panels.
Okay.
Nice and clean. Hide the wires underneath the solar panels.
This is a very clean install.
Thank you.
I really like it.
Yeah, it turned out really slick. It's the great thing about lithium and solar. Once you get it installed and get it, you know, working as it is, that's it. It just works, and it just you have now your RV running pretty much like your home.
It's pretty sweet.
Smaller level.
Very nice. Basically, how it's going to work is we have our ladder mount right here. Just going to bolt it right like that. So this piece has one channel. You either do it vertical or horizontal like that.
That's a great design. As soon as I saw that ladder mount, I'm like, yes, that's perfect for RVers. I love mounting stuff to the ladder back here, so you don't have to drill any holes.
Right. Yep. That was one of the big things, big improvements to the system. We wanted to make it easy for people to just set it up, put it right there. Get them all nice and snug. And then you take this and slide it on. We're just going to test fit it. Make sure that it fits on there. Good. So we'll just pull it up. And then we'll run the wire in. Basically goes through here. And we'll put a little plug there too. But, you know, we want to make sure no water can follow that wire inside there. Gotcha. That just plugs right into the modem right there. Locks it in. And then we make sure the wire's between the little holder, right like that. Creep it back a little bit and lock it in. But we will wait on the zip tie to make sure everything works. So this is the final, you basically put it through there and zip it in, but we're gonna go plug it in and make sure everything's good. Oh, you know what we forgot to do? Put your SIM card in. Oh yes, that's important. So we gotta put the SIM card in. That is important. So we'll go ahead and pull this back up. Now they ship with a SIM card in them, right? Yes, they ship with a SIM card that we install SIM cards in it so that we can activate and deactivate your system for you. So we now have service plans of our own, and we wanted to make it because we wanted it to be super easy for the people on the go to start and stop service anytime they want. Yeah. So they can do it right from our app, right from the dashboard and everything. So it's pretty slick. So we have SIM 1 and SIM 2. And so we're just gonna pop this SIM number 1 out. So that's the SIM that ships with it. We're gonna take it, pop it out, and we're gonna use the plastic as the adapter for yours. Basically pop it in like that, and then pop it back in here. And some people might have concerns with their SIM being all the way up on the roof. I could say from my experience, we don't ever take our SIM out, so it just sits in there. So if it gets a better signal up on the roof with the modem up there, then I'm fine with that. Yeah, I think the days where people used to swap SIMs are kind of done. Yeah. You know, now people get their own SIM, and it has its own plan. And I could have 2 SIMs in there at the same time, but not, I would have to switch back and forth between the plans if I wanted to. Correct, correct. So we actually left one of our SIMs in there on slot number 2. Okay. So if you ever wanted to, you can turn that one on and just switch it between your Verizon and that SIM. And you're using T-Mobile as your provider, correct? Yes, so we are a provider now in and of ourselves, and so, but we use the T-Mobile towers. One of the reasons why I really liked working with them is because they've done a great job in their 5G build-out around the country. Yes. So it's been pretty huge. Is that secret band that I hear a lot about, band 71? Yes. The antenna is very optimized for band 71, so it has a great reach way out, and it goes through trees and branches really well. Nice. Okay. Yeah, so the very last step is to actually plug the antenna into the injector, right? Yep. We can all zippy tie that a little bit later. You can see the WAN port right there. Yep. See how that lit up? Yep. So that means we got power to the antenna, and then it's turning on right now. So all in all, that really was an easy install, and if we weren't filming or messing around, you know, that literally could have taken a half an hour to get that up and going. Right. Very simple. Yeah. So we're back linked up to Verizon. We have B66, and we got 2 bands of 5G. So that's what the new modem does, is it links up to 2 bands of 5G. So we'll go ahead and run a speed test.
Looks like it's connecting to Miami. And we are down in the Florida Keys right now.
All right, yep.
So I don't know if that's showing up on the TV or the screen or not, but
kind of
31 down and roughly 9 up. So before I was getting right around that speeds, anywhere from 20 to 30, you know, depending on what it's picking up. So down here in the Keys is kind of interesting because you don't know exactly where it's connecting to. Yeah, so this was through Verizon.
Right.
Nick's carrier is through T-Mobile, and that's gonna maybe be a little bit different speeds.
Right, so we'll...
Maybe quite a bit different speeds. So in comparison to Verizon and T-Mobile, you know, it really does matter where your provider's at, where the tower's at.
Yep.
So T-Mobile is pulling down over 200 down,
yep,
and you know 35 up.
Right.
So big difference from Verizon.
Big difference, yeah.
Yeah. And that's because it's using multiple 5G bands, right?
Right. And like I was saying, on my phone, like Verizon had like 1 bar. It hardly had much of a signal here.
Yep.
So the InstaConnect's going to do a good job trying to pull in just and work with that 1 bar of signal.
So what's right for you? Well, as I mentioned, there is no one fits all solution out there. So you might be okay with just working on your cell phones. Most cell phone plans and cell phones allow you to hotspot directly from the phone. But if you're like us, you'll find out very quickly it is a pain in the butt not having a dedicated internet solution. We're all used to having that at our homes where your internet is just on. You don't need to get your phone out, hotspot it, connect it, and then go through all the hoops. So a dedicated internet device like a modem and router all in one, kind of like the jetpack that we had, is a really good solution. It's very similar to what you're used to having in your house. You know, it's always going to be on, it's always going to have that connection from the internet company, and you're always going to have service. But that's really the big problem with being in an RV, is that we don't always have that clear view or that clear reception of service. So that's why taking that device and giving it a rooftop antenna really does make a lot of sense. That's how you're going to get the best signal, is by having your antenna up on the roof. And Nick, like he explained at InstaConnect, that having the modem and the antenna up on the roof gave the best signal that he could find. So is the InstaConnect the absolute best out there? Well, I can't say that with certainty, but what I can say is that we've used it for tens of thousands of miles and almost 2 years, and it really does seem to be the best solution for us. It works in almost all of the places we go, and that's the reason we've only had to use Starlink a couple times a year. Okay, so speaking of Starlink, do we still have it? Yes, we do. And we probably end up using it a couple times a year. But every time we do turn it on, it costs us $150, whether it's one day or the entire month. Now, we only need to use it when we have absolutely zero cell connection, but we're actually traveling to Canada this summer, and that's another use case where we're probably going to use Starlink as our primary solution. That is, unless something else comes up first. We have a couple older videos on Starlink, so you can kind of see all the reasons that it just didn't work out for us. The biggest ones is that you need to have that clear view of the sky every single time. We do move locations roughly every week, and so having to set that up, tear down, and make sure you have that clear view of the sky just didn't always happen. And if you didn't have that clear view of the sky, then the uptime was not at 100%. So if you're in the middle of a conference call or a video call, those could quite easily drop off, and there's nothing worse than having that happen. I know Starlink is continuing to improve, and they do have new high performance dishes as well as in motion dishes that go on top of your RV. Those do look like great options, but again, I just don't know if that's gonna quite be 100% factor, because usually when we do need to bust out the Starlink, I do need to run the cable out and get that clear view of the sky. We're usually covered in the trees. So time will tell on that. For right now, cellular-based service is what's working best for us. Well, if you made it this far, you're either a dedicated fan, thank you, or you really are interested in finding an internet solution. If you think the InstaConnect system fits your needs, I'm going to share a discount code below for everyone. I think Nick did a great job with the redesign, improving the system's performance, but also addressing some of the things from the previous design, like moving from USB to PoE so you can have longer than 30-foot installations. PoE also gives you more router options if you have a specific one that you want to use with the antenna. We've had no issues with the one that InstaConnect provides, but it's nice to have the flexibility as an option if needed. Also, the new vertical and horizontal ladder mount gives you great mounting options without drilling holes, as well as the ability to move it to another RV or new location in the future. Current pricing on the InstaConnect antenna and modem is $599, and the router is a $200 add-on. And again, don't forget you can save 5% with the discount code Irene Iron, one word. Now you can use this system with your own data plan, or you can purchase one from InstaConnect. They start out at $19 a month and go up to $129 for an unlimited data plan and $149 for the priority business plan. I want to thank everyone for watching, as well as Nick and his family from InstaConnect for providing us with our internet solution as we travel full-time around the country. We'll catch y'all on the next one.